we should feel proud of being a part of this yajna, to say in other words. Why this is an yajna? We are going to deep into our ancient Indian literature, and therefrom we are going to uh, unearth all the ancient thoughts in the areas of science. So in this process, I am happy that I am assigned with a subject like Vedic prosody, not only Vedic prosody, Sanskrit prosody. The title given to me is The Sources, Texts, Schools and Thinkers of Sanskrit prosody. When this is the topic, of course, because my PhD in 1985 was on, for which I got my doctorate, that was on Vedic prosody. That's why Vedic prosody, its nature and origin and development was the topic of my PhD. So on that topic I am going to speak. So it is very easy for me. Besides that, for the last 4 decades, I have been working to find out the scientific content in our ancient literature, may it be Vedic, may it be classical, may it be Shastras, may it be interdisciplinary studies. In all this, almost I could trace out 21 disciplines of scientific knowledge in our ancient systems, including Puranas, Itihasas, etc. And now, as I am given the responsibility of introducing you the Chandas Shastram, I will confine to this subject. I request the organizers, if it is possible, to present the PPT, which I sent to them. If PPT is not available, then my expression will be extempore. So here, in the meanwhile, while the PPT is being arranged, I will try to introduce you already, which has been introduced through your past lessons. That is about the classification of knowledge into different disciplines in our ancient India, particularly in Sanskrit. In the olden days, they used to call Mahavidyas. The number of Mahavidyas are 14 plus 4. What are those 14 and what are those 4? Let us try to understand. Angani Vedas Chatvarah Mimamsa Nyaya Vistarah Puranam Dharmasastrancha Vidyahyetas Chaturdasha. So, if one person gets mastery over these 14 Vidyas, he can be considered as a Pandit, a scholar, not merely studying any single branch of learning. But nowadays, just like the specialists are there, among the doctors, right nose specialist, left nose specialist, or facial specialist, or heart specialist, like that, specializations are more in the modern times. Whereas one should get mastery over all the 14 Vidyas in our ancient times. It was the way of studying in those times. That's why, what are those 14 Vidyas? Angani. There are 6 ancillary sciences by understanding which one can understand the Vedas. That's why Angani, they are 6 in number. They are the ancillary sciences, ancillary disciplines, by having the knowledge of which one can comfortably understand. Thanks. Now it is visible. So now we are in the second slide. I request the members to go to the second slide. Yes. Angani Vedas Chatvaru Mimamsa Nyaya Vistaraha Puranam Dharmasastrancha Vidyahyeta Chaturdasha. This was the content of the 14 Shastras. They are Angani, the ancillary disciplines of knowledge. They are Siksha, Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Jyotisham, Chandas, Kalpam, these are the 6 angas. Of course, I will be explaining about them in course of time. So angani, then Vedaha Chatvara, 4 Vedas, 6 plus 4, then they make 10. Then Mimamsa and Nyaya Shastra. Nyaya Shastra is logic and Mimamsa is the sentence discourse. And after that Puranam. Puranam, nowadays we have 18 Mahapuranas, 18 Upapuranas, 18 Upapuranas. Like this, we have a vast literature of Puranas in the modern times. But in the that is 18 Puranas, 18 Upapuranas, 18 Aupapuranas, 18 Upapuranas. Totally 72 Puranas were there in ancient times. Whereas even in modern times, we have most of the texts with us available in the market. And then Dharma Shastram. 500 texts on Dharma Shastra are available in the modern times. Out of 500 texts, we have almost 3 or 4 considered as the major texts on Dharma Shastra. The other name of Dharma Shastra is Smriti. So Manusmriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti, Parasara Smriti, Narada Smriti, etc. are available. So even 500 Smritis are also available here and there in the entire country of Bharat. Still, major texts are Manusmriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti, Parasara Smriti, etc. So Dharma Shastra is the other name for Smriti. Then, so these are the 14 Vidyas. One is expected to master over this 14. So Veda, the knowledge of Veda is personified as a human being, and if it is personified as a human being, it has different limbs. What are those limbs? Shiksha, Kalpo, Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Jyotisham. Niruktam, Chandaha. Jyotisham, Ayanancheva, Vedangani, Shadevatu. Eva means it excludes other texts to be included in this under this 6 category. That's why Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chandas and Jyotisham. These are the 6 ancillary texts. 6 ancillary disciplines. Under each ancillary discipline, there are hundreds of texts, individual texts. So these are the 6 ancillary texts. After that, ling-wise correlation is like this. Chandaha Padav, Shabda Shastrancha Patram, Kalpa Pani, Jyotisham Chakshushicha, Shiksha Granam, Srotra Muktam Niruktam, Vedasyangan Yeva Mahur Munindra. If Veda is considered as a personified form, just human personification, then the feet of the Vedic Purusha is Chandas, prosody, and Shabda Shastrancha Vaktram. The face of the Veda Purusha is Shabda Shastra. And Kalpaha Pani. Kalpa, the science of Kalpa is Pani, the 2 hands. And then Jyotisham Chakshushi. Eyes of the Veda Purusha are considered to be the discipline of Jyotisha. And after that, Shiksha Granam. The nose of this Veda Purusha is Shiksha. And after that, Shrotra Muktam Nirukta. Shrotra means the ears is Nirukta. Nirukta is etymology. Chandas is prosody. Shabda Shastram is more than grammar, but we don't have a better word than grammar to translate Shabda Shastra into English. That's why we are forced to accept that grammar is the word for Shabda Shastra. Okay. But Shabda Shastra is not confined to be called grammar. It is more than linguistics, it is more than grammar, it is more than etymology, and it is more than everything else. But we are forced to call it grammar only. We are confined to that. And Chandaha is prosody, Shabda Shastram is grammar, and then Kalpa. Kalpa is a kind of yajnik architecture, as well as which helps about understanding, which helps to understand about the sacrificial performances, the methods of sacrificial performance also. And after that, the next one is Jyotisham. Jyotisham is not predictive astrology. as misunderstood in the modern times, but it is more related to astronomy. The astral bodies, whichever are there in the sky, to study about those astronomical bodies, we need the knowledge of Jyotisha. And after that, Siksha. Siksha is phonetics. In the modern times, which is a part of linguistics, that Siksha, that phonetics is synonymized with the nose of that Veda Purusha. And Srotramuktam Niruktam. So, actually, when we want to utter any word, we must listen to the local speakers. And after listening to the local speakers, we should receive the words and we should retain them in our mind. And repeatedly, if we utter, we can have the practice and we can understand the meaning of it. Similarly, the etymological roots of the words also can be understood properly. For that sake, etymology was developed in ancient times in the name of Nirukta. So, these are the limb-wise correlation of the 6 limbs of Veda Purusha, as mentioned in our Siksha Granthas and also in the Granthas of Vyakarana. So, we know that Chandas is our present subject, and when this Chandas is our present subject, in English we call it prosody. Of course, it is not a deviated translation. It correlates with this Chandas. Still, Chandas has its own special entity. Though it has some special entity, we will be introducing to those special characteristics of Chandas also in course of time. And this prosody is a better word which can be accepted as the translation of Chandas. What is this prosody or what is this Chandas? Curiously to say, when we say most of us are introduced, if it is in Sanskrit, most of us are introduced to certain meters. They are Anushtup. Anushtup is 1 meter popularly known to all of us. And in the Anushtup only Ramayana was composed mostly. And in the Mahabharata also Anushtup is popularly spread. And in the other texts also, in all Shastra texts, Anushtup is much used, popularly used. Whereas the classical texts, Kavya literature, there we can see different types of varieties of meters like Shartula Vikridita, Matteva, and then Malini Vrta, Indravajra, Upendra Vajra, like that. There are a variety of meters about which we will be dealing with in course of time. Whereas, what is this Chandas? If anybody wants to know, music, Chandas, and mathematics have a relation. And particularly music and Chandas have a relation with the time. Time has its own units. Seconds, minutes, hours, etc. are the units of time which are accepted by us in the modern times. Whereas there are split parts even in a second or a minute. To measure those split parts of time in ancient times, we used to take the help of syllables or syllabic instants. There is a difference between syllable and syllabic instant. I will be explaining it soon. So, these syllables or syllabic instants are the measuring units to measure the time. Similarly, in music also, when we sing, while singing also, we try to measure the length of the uttering a syllable or a swara. That length itself is known as, that length is the unit of measuring time in the units of music. So, this either Chandas Shastra or music has very close relation with the time. That's why one who studies Chandas, one who masters over Chandas or music can know the value of time. They never will waste their time at all, because they always, while singing a song, always a singer starts making some tala. What is the tala? Tala is the lodging instrument of the time. Invisible locking instrument. Similarly, even if we say Kirite, Nisisho, Lalate, Hutaso, Kuje Bhogi, Raja, Gade, Kali, Macha, Mahadeva, Tulyam, Parandaiva, Banyam, Najani, 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 Najani. When we say this, we are measuring the time in a proper, in a set a time length. We are Kirite, Nisisho, Lalate, Hutasho, Vijebho, Viraja, Gade, Kali, Macha, Mahadeva, Tulyam, Parandaiva, Banyam, Najani, 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 Najani. So here, some rhythm is going on. So through this rhythm, the syllables are arranged in such a manner to measure the time only. Similarly, in another meter, Panchachamara Urta, it is known as Jatakataha Sambhrama Brahmannilimpa Nirjari Vilola Vichi Vallari Virajamana Buddhari Ragatagajvalalata Patta Pavaki Kishore Chandra Sekhare Ratikshanam Mama. So here also we have some rhythm of measuring the time. Similarly, even in music, we have the habit of measuring the time. That's why either Chandas or Sangeetam, both these are time measuring sciences, disciplines. When we have this, a person who has the knowledge of this music and Chandas can never waste his time. His mind always will be working in the field of creating something. So, broadly to say, this science of Chandas is, it measures time in the units of syllables or syllabic instants. Now, what is the etymological note of Chandas? When it was the practice of in our ancient times to understand the etymological note of different words, particularly technical terms, by understanding which one can by understanding the etymological meaning of the terms, technical terms particularly, one can master over different disciplines, different shastras. So similarly for Chandas also, one need to understand the etymological meaning. So by understanding this etymological meaning, we can have an assessment of what is Chandas Shastra. Particularly in any disciplines of science, when we want to learn it, first we have to understand the terms, the technical terms. When we understand the technical terms, we can have a smooth approach into the subject. See, they are just like alphabet of a language. When we know the alphabet of a language, it won't be difficult for us to understand or to read the sentences in it or to read the words in it. Similarly, here also, if we have the knowledge of etymological knowledge of the technical terms, yes, our approach towards understanding the subject will be easier. Here we have, in Sanskrit, it is the habit to find out the verbal roots of every word. Similarly, Ramate iti Ramaha, Ramayati iti Ramaha. There are two meanings. He enjoys on seeing the dharma everywhere. That's why he was called Rama. And by following dharma, he makes all the people happy. That's why he was called Rama. So that Ramadhatu, from that Ramadhatu, the word Rama is derived. Similarly, Shakha is there. When we observe a tree, the tree has different branches. So this branch is known as Shakha in Sanskrit. When we call it Shakha, how it was derived in Nirutta, Khaha means Akasha. Khe sete iti Shakha, because it sleeps it takes rest in the sky. That's why it is called Shakha. We sleep on beds, we sleep on floor, we sleep on a mat, whereas the branches of a tree Where do they sleep? They sleep in the sky. That's why they are known as shakhas. Ke shete iti shakha. Shete means sleeps. Because it sleeps in the sky, it is known as shakha. Similarly, aushadhi is there. Aushadhi means which washam, washa, the word washa means disease. Dhayati removes. Because it removes the disease, it is known as Vaushadhi. Vausham Dhayati iti Vaushadhi. It was the meaning. Similarly, here also, for Chandas, 4 verbal roots are traced out. One is Chand Ahladani Deeptaucha. Chand Ahladani Deeptaucha. If it can please the reader's mind, then it is called Chandas. So it need not be composed in feet division. It need not have any feet at all. 4 feet or 8 feet. Such division is not necessary. If it can please, even prose also is Chandas. Yes. That is why Bharata in Natya Shastra says Nibaddha Chandas and Anibadha Chandas. Nibaddha Chandas is poetry and Anibadha Chandas is prose according to Bharata Muni in Natya Shastra. So Ahladani Deeptaucha. There will be some brightness in the expression. Similarly, it is divided proportionately into some feet. That's why Ahlada, it pleases. Similarly, even in Dandaka type of Gadya, we have this kind of Sri Kanthalokesha Lokotbhavasthana Sauharakara Purari Purari Devani Deina Tatvambu Deivambu Gayanchi Ganchitin Muktin Prasadin Kumina. All this is Dandaka. Even in Dandaka style of prose, we use this Chandas. That's why that Dandaka is a kind of prose. Gadyam Dandaka Vanthaha. It was the definition given by Shiraswami. That's why even prose comes under Chandas only. That is why. Chada Achadani, the second meaning. Chada means which covers. That is why it is called Chandas. And Chada Avarani, so it accommodates in the sphere. That's why it is called Chandas. Prachi Bhage Sarage Daradi Virahadikranta Mudre Samudre Nitralo Nirajalo Krutabudipude Kokalu Kesasuke Akase Yashavakase Pratamasi Nirvikare Chakore Kandarpe Nalpadarpe Vikirati Kiranan Sharvari Saro Gomaha. This is a beautiful description of the rise of the moon. Here it is accommodating a content in equal syllables divided into 4 feet. That's why Chadi Avarani. And Chand Ahladani Savarani. So this kind of Samvarana means this is also a covering expression which covers, envelopes. So it envelopes the entire content into certain melodious feet division. That's why that is called Samvarana. So Chandas Ahladani Samvarani. So first one, Chanda Ahladani Samvarani, this was taken from Daivata Brahmana. Chandamsi Chadayativa. However, here the root is Chand. Samvarana Ahladanecha. It means to cover, to please. The commentator Sayana derives the word Chandas following the first meaning to cover Samvarana of the root. Harshada is another commentator. And Jayadeva Chandas is another text. He derives this term from the root Chand Ahladane Deeptaucha, the first one. Similarly, here he says, Chandati Hladankaroti Deepyateva Sravyataya iti. Because it pleases to be heard. It is melodious to be heard and to be appreciated. That's why it is known as Chandas, he says. Similarly, even in Ashtadhyayi Dhatpata and Ashtadhyayi and other texts, we have the reference source to these 4. So these are now the etymological notes is explained. Now we are going to deal with the definitions of Chandas. We know that we'll be introduced to the classes of Chandas. Even in the Vedas we have Chandas, even in the Kavyas we have Chandas, even in Shastras we have Chandas, even in Stotra literature we have Chandas. Chandas is there everywhere. When Chandas is everywhere, the definition of Chandas in all the instances is not the same. That is why Yadakshara Parimanam Tat Chandaha, that is one definition. This definition is found in the Rigveda Sarvanikramanika of Katyayana. According to this definition, Chandas is that which measured by syllables. The number is more important. The length of the syllable is not at all important. That's why Yadakshara Parimanam Tat Chandaha. This is. So if it is where the number of the syllables only are counted, that is Chandas for Vedic people. Chando Akshara Sankhya. This also deal with the importance of number only, not the length. There may be Hrasva, there may be Dirgha, or there may be Puluta. It doesn't matter. But if it has aksharas, number of aksharas, Ashtakshara, Tripada, Gayatri, they say. What is meant by Gayatri? Gayatri is that which has 3 feet with 8 syllables in each of the feet, in each of the foot. So if it has such division, Ashtakshara, Tripada, Gayatri. Gayatri Chandas has 8 letters in each foot and it has 3 feet, then it is called Gayatri Chandas. Tripadameva Gayatri Ekena Padena Anushtovati iti Anushtam. Though in Gayatri there are 3 feet of 8 syllables each, if one more 8 syllable foot is added to this Gayatri, it makes Anushtam. They say. Tripadameva Gayatri Ekena Padena Anushtovati. Anushtam. Shtuva means Vardhane, increases. Because it increases by one more foot, it is known as Anushtam. So if it has 8 feet, 8 syllables in 4 feet, it is Anushtam. If it has 3 feet with 8 syllables in each, it is Gayatri. So similarly, Yadakshara Parimanam Tat Chandaha, Chando Akshara Sankhya. These two deal with the syllables, number of syllables. Matra Akshara Sankhya Niyatavat Chandaha. This is another. Here, the Vedic and classical prosodies, both are taken together. What is Matra? What is syllable? What is syllabic instant? All this. Matra is syllabic instant. Whereas Guru, Laghu, Hrasva, Dirgha, these are all syllables. So, what is syllable? What is syllabic instant? What is Akshara? What is Swara? What is Vijana? These are to be understood. These are to be understood now. First one is Abhyanjanam, Sanuswaraha, Shuddhova, Swaraha, Aksharam. It was the definition given by Saunaka in Rikprabsat. Sabhyanjanam, here we are going into phonetics and again we will come back to prosody. So Sabhyanjanam, Sanuswaraha, Shuddhova, Swaraha, Aksharam. Aksharam is that Sabhyanjanam, actually broadly in the language, all the letters are divided into 2 kinds. One is swaras, the other one is vyanjana. Swara is vowels and vyanjana is consonants. Vowels are to be identified not by their written form, but the way they are pronounced. For instance, ear is there. Y-E-A-R, ear. Here in this, Y is a semi-vowel. Ya, ra, la, va, these are called semi-vowels. Here, why is semi-vowel? Because it is beginning with a semi-vowel, it is consonant only. It cannot be pronounced as a vowel. Similarly, ear is there, E-A-R. Here, in this word ear, we don't pronounce the consonant aspect of it, but we pronounce the vowel aspect. That's why it is known as vowel only and not consonant. Honorable man, though it is beginning with H, which is a consonant, while pronouncing, we pronounce it with A. That's why it is known as a word vowel. It is known as a vowel only. So that's why pronunciation is more important for vowels. Vowels and consonants are the two sets of languages which are very important in pronunciation. And here, while dealing with consonants and vowels, the definition for aksharam is that samvyanjanam, yanjana means consonant. Along with a consonant, samvyanjanam sanuswaraha, along with anuswara, that sound, that is known as anuswara. Samvyanjanam sanuswaraha, shuddhava or pure vowel also sometimes can be called aksharam. That is. So that sound is not, it is always imperishable. But the written character of it may differ, may vary, and it may sometimes be seen and sometimes may not be seen. That's why this is known as aksharam. This aksharam can have, particularly vowel has certain measuring limits. Like that, 3 levels are there. This is known as laghu, and is guru, and is plita, hrasva dirgha plitas. Wherever is a hrasva vowel, that hrasva vowel is known as laghu in our prosody. Dirgha is known as guru, and pluta is not considered. Even pluta is considered as guru only. So there are only 2 units. One is hrasva, one is laghu, and the other one is guru in prosody. That's why this is syllables. Whereas syllabic instant is, for instance, in a particular context, we have 4 matras. Matra is equal to the time required for pronouncing a single letter, that is a laghu. Matra is equal to 1 laghu. So when it is 1 laghu, if we want to 4 laghus, we can 4 matras, we can use 4 laghus, or 2 laghus and 1 guru, or 2 gurus exclusively. In any manner we can say that is known as syllabic difference. So laghu, guru, this kind of thing is in syllables, whereas in the matras we have syllabic instants and we don't have syllables. So this is acceptable in case of both Vedic and classical prosody. Particularly in the classical prosody, in the Gita Govinda and others, we have certain compositions where this matra chandas is used. Kisalaya Sayanatale Purukami Charanalina Vinivesham Tava Padapallava Vairi Parabhavam Idam Anubhavatu Suvesham. Here we have syllabic instance. Sometimes instead of 4 laghus, they may use 2 gurus. Sometimes they may use 4 laghus separately, and they want to fill the time with matras. That is, matra chandas is more important in songs, in preparation of songs. That is why one who masters over matras can write beautiful songs. In any language, may it be in Sanskrit or may it be in any Indian language, matras play a wonderful role while writing songs, gitas. That's why matra akshara niyata, akshara niyata Vedic, matra niyata classical. Similarly, this the third one is syllabic content. So similarly, there are three types. And Chandas Shabdu Vrittadhara Vachana. This is exclusively dealing with the Laukika Chandas. So these are the some major definitions. There are almost 16 to 18 definitions. I am dealing with only 4. Here, Chandas Shabdena Akshara Sankhya Atra Abhidiyate. This is in the Chandas Shastra of Pingala. Harayudha is the wonderful commentator over Chandas Shastra. He says, Chandas Shabdena Akshara Sankhya Atra Abhidiyate. Atra means in the context of the Vedas. In the context of the Vedas, Chandas Shabdena Akshara Sankhya, only the number of letters is important because it is Vedic. We can make a rule that in all the Vedic compositions, may it be in Yajurveda or Rigveda or Samaveda or Atharvaveda or Brahmanas or Aranyakas, wherever we want to see, everywhere, if we come across any compositions, there the number of letters only is important and never the measure of the letters is taken into consideration. That is Vedic. Similarly, another mystic expression also was there in ancient times. That is, this follows the definition mentioned in Atharvavediya Brihat Sarvarikramana. Tasmat cha chadita devaha chandobhi mrityubhiravaha chandasam tena chandastvam chayate vedavadibhi. So, when the demons were trying to kill deities, even when the Amrita was not produced in those times, the demons were hitting the gods and they are trying to kill the gods also. Then, Yasmat Chadita Devaha Chandobhi Mrityubhiravaha, out of their fear of being killed, they took the help of the meters like Gayatri, Vishnik, Anushtup, Brihati, Pankti, Trishtup, Jagati, etc. So they had some divine formations also, divine appearances. In the divine appearances, these meters, Gayatri, etc., all these meters were protecting like shield over the gods. That's why also, for that reason also, this Gayatri, etc., are known as the covering material. For that sake only, Gataram Tarayate Asmat Gayatri Tena Sasmita. One who composes the prayers in Gayatri Chandas and starts singing, that Gayatri assumes the divine form and protects him. That's why it was known as Gayatri. It was one definition from the mystic point of view, of course, which cannot be convinced. The modern people cannot be convinced with this kind of definitions, but the practitioners, the spiritual practitioners of ancient days has this kind of experience. So similarly, instances occur in the other Vedic texts also. For instance, Prajapati, Agnim, Achinuta, Saha, Kshirapavir Kotva, Atishtham, Deva, Dibhyato, Napayate. So like this, here the Agni is produced, and that Agni which was produced by Prajapati was frightening the gods. When it was frightening, they took the help of the Chandas, and when Gayatri and Chandasatvam Chadayami. So with the help of the Gayatri meter, I will cover you, by covering which you can be protected from fire. Like that, these mystic expressions say. Here, we may think of that kind of technology in those times, that when fire is covering everywhere and swallowing everything by producing a kind of sounds, by producing a kind of syllabic vibrations, the fire can be controlled. So this is all possible, and so the Chandas is having such power. So this also can be skipped off, the Chadayati, etc. Now, as we were mentioning, in the entire literature, may it be Vedic or classical, here we have three kinds of chandas: Akshara Chandamsi, Gana Chandamsi, Matra Chandamsi. Here, Akshara Chandamsi, entire Vedic literature is covered by Akshara Chandamsi, as we have been discussing so far. And then Gana Chandamsi, this has a wonderful effect over the entire, not only entire Sanskrit literature, over all the sections of prosodial constructions in all the Indian languages. This Gana Chandas. I will explain about this in course of time. Then Matra Chandas. Matra Chandamsi, as I was explaining, one Matra is equal to one Lagu. So Matra means when we need 4 Lagus, 4 Matras, we can use two Gurus or 2 Lagus and 1 Guru, or all the 4 Lagus like that. So Matra is syllabic instant and Akshara is syllable. And when this Akshara is syllable, Gana Chandamsi are ruled by these syllables. What is Gana Chandamsi? You will be knowing in the next slides. So basing on this classification of Akshara Chandas and this one Gana Chandas and Matra Chandas, we have this classification, that is Vaidikam and Laukikam. These are the Vaidikam means which is confined to Vedic texts, and Laukikam means which covers Puranas, Itihasas, Kavyas, 350 Shastras, Subhashita literature, Niti Shastra literature, and after that, similarly, 64 fine arts, 720 Panchali Kalas, all these are covered under the roof of this Laukika Chandas. So, what are the texts related to we have in the first title itself, we have sources, texts, schools, thinkers. Before going into the part of schools, let us try to understand what are the texts related to. Particularly in the Vedic literature, if we want to understand, we have Pratsakya text, Anukramanika text, the first order, and particularly even in Pratsakyas, we have Vipratsakya. Then, and the Anukramanika Rigveda Chandvanikramani is there, and Katyayana Rigveda Chandvanikramani is there, Vedardha Deepika of Shadguru Shishya is there, Venkatamadhavas Rigveda Nikramani is there, Shukla Yajus Sarvanikramani also is there. What are these Sarvanikramani texts and Pratsakya texts? Let us try to shed light over. These Pratsakya texts are, in ancient times, you might have been introduced by now by our earlier scholars, earlier speakers and scholars. Yes, it was, you might have been introduced by our earlier scholars that Pratsakya texts are Vedasakas, you might have heard. What are Vedasakas? Vedasakas, in Samaveda we have 1000 sakas. One saka is known as one recension. So, Samaveda has 1000 recensions. And Shukla Yajurveda and Krishna Yajurveda together, there are 101 shakhas. That is 101 recensions. And after that, in Atharva Veda, we have 9 shakhas. And 21 shakhas are there in Rig Veda. All together make 1131 shakhas are there in the Vedas. So, for every shakha, in the construction, there is a kind of grammar, there is a kind of prosody, there is a kind of some phonetics. So, this Pratsakya text deals with the phonetics, grammar, and prosody of that particular shakha. So, how many Pratsakyas can be expected? Could be expected in ancient times. As the texts were 1131. As the shakhas are 1131, Pratsakya texts also were 1131 in ancient times. But in the modern times, we have only 8 to 9 Pratyakyas. Out of these 9 Pratyakyas, one of the wonderful texts which I could possess even in my collection, and it is available in ancient libraries. Recently, publication also is tried for bringing out, that is Rikpratya. It is a wonderful text which gives information about Bhagavata Bhashya, and particularly Saunaka Rikpratya it is. It deals with the Rigveda text and the grammar of Rigveda, the prosody of Rigveda, and the phonetics of Rigveda are dealt with the Rigveda. A great work, wonderful work it was. So after that, Rigveda Chandonikramanika, it is a separate text. It deals with only the meters, only the prosody part of Rigveda. That is known as Rigveda Chandonikramanika. And another text also is available, that is Katyayana Rigveda Chandonikramanika. While dealing with the Chanda Shastra, the Katyayana's Rigveda Chandonikramanika is very, very important. It gives wonderful thoughts. Particularly, we know that the division of vowel and consonant division is there. In the vowel division again, there are 3 lengths, Hrasva, Dirgha and Pluta. And Ekamatro Bhavet Hrasvaha, Vimatro Dirgha Uchate, Bahumatrastu Plutojnayaha, Arthamatrastu Vyanjanam. Half of the time of one mora, matra means one mora in English. That's right, half of the mora is Vyanjana. And full mora is Laghu. And 2 moras is Guru. More than 2 moras is known as Pluta. This was the basic definition set given by our ancient. And here in Katyayana, Chandonikramanika and Sarvanikramanika, wonderfully they say, still further divisions are also possible in the Arthamatra. 1/4 matra, 1/8 matra, such divisions are also possible. In the linguistics, they dealt with this as a part of Swarabhakti or a blot. They call it a blot in linguistics, which is equal to Swarabhakti in Rikpratya. And this kind of things are there. So, dividing a syllable into to the utmost possible extent, less than even a consonant. Consonant is half mora. Still we can further divide it into 1/4 mora or 1/8 mora, etc. So this is known as Katyayana Rigveda Chandonikramanika. After that, Vedartha Deepika. Vedartha Deepika is Deepika was written by Shadguru. This Shadguru Shishya's Vedartha Deepika is really, it causes astonishment when we go through the content of it. In the name of prosody, in the name of phonetics, in the name of grammar, while giving illustrations, he deals with metallurgy, he deals with Vrikshashastra, he deals with mathematics, he deals with many other subjects. So, all the Shastras were learned together, not separately, isolated. This was the way of our ancient systems of knowledge. So, Shadguru Shishya's Vedartha Deepika over Katyayana Rigveda Anukramanika was of this kind. Similarly, Venkata Madhava Rigveda Anukramani, Shukla Sarvanikramani, these are the Pratsakya texts and Anukramanika texts. So, texts of actually the order is changed. In the first place, to know about the Vedic prosodial texts, Samhitas and Brahmanas are important. In the Samhitas, in Rik Samhita, Taittiriya Samhita, Samhita means the mantra bhaga exclusively. So in the Rik Samhita, Taittiriya Samhita, Aitareya Brahmana, Satapatha Brahmana, Daivata Brahmana, wonderful material is available about the Vedic prosody. We will be introducing it in course of time. That's why these are the 4 texts. And second one is the previous slide which we saw, that is the Pratsakya text. Independent Vedic texts on prose. Pingalanaga Chandas Shastra. This needs a special emphasis because from Pingalanaga, who was known as ancient seer, ancient sage, he presented us, he gifted us with Pingalanaga Chandas Shastra. This is known as Vedanga Chandas. Whenever one speaks about Vedanga Chandas as a part of Vedas, then the recommended text is the Chandas Shastra of Pingala. So this has the content about the Vedic prosody and also the classical prosody also. So to speak about Pingalanaga Chandas Shastra itself, we need almost 3 to 4 hours. And next one is Nidana Sutra of Patanjali. We know Patanjali as the author of Yoga Sutras. Further, Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sarirasya Cha Vaidyakena Yopakaruttam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjaliranam Tosmi. To this extent, some of us know that Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sarirasya Cha Vaidyakena Yopakaruttam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Tam Pranjaliranam Tosmi. This is the shloka. Then the shloka is there. Of course, in 3 branches of knowledge, he wrote 3 texts. We separated. Yogena Chittasya. Malam means impurity. To remove the impurities of our manas, chittam, he created Yoga Shastra. Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham. Pada Shastra means grammar. We are compromised to call Pada Shastra as grammar for the time being. We don't have the other choice. That's why Padena Vacham. He wrote Pada Shastra, Shabda Shastra. What is it? Mahabhashya of Patanjali. So it removes the impurities of the word, speech. Manas and speech. Malam Sharirasya Cha Vaidyakena. There are impurities even in our body. So to remove the impurities of the body, what did he do? He offered us the medical text, the text in medicine, Indian medicine. What was the name of it? Charaka Samhita. Then who was Charaka? Charaka was none else than Patanjali. So he offered us, he gifted us 3 texts. One is Charaka Samhita to remove the impurities of the body, and Pada Samhita, that is Mahabhashyam over the text of Ashtadhyayi of Padini, and the third one is the Chandas Shastra, that is Yoga Shastra, for removing the impurities of our mind. So, Manas, Vak, Kaya, Mano, Vak, Kaya. So, this is a composite text in my view. People say that he has offered 3 texts. I don't say. To remove the impurities of manas, speech, and kaya, sharira, body, he has offered 3 texts. So to this extent we know that Patanjali. So it is an integrated knowledge, not a separated knowledge. Mahabhashya separately study, and the Yoga Shastra you study it separately, and the Charaka Samhita separately study as a part of Ayurveda. This is not a good way of learning. When we combine these 3, we can have a wonderful skill. Even in Subhashita, simply they say, Manasyekam, Vachasyekam, Karmanyekam, Mahatmanam, Manasyanyad, Vachasanyad, Karmanyanyad, Duratmana. What he thinks is different, what he does is different, what he speaks is different. That is Duratmana, wicked person. Manasyekam, Vachasyekam, Karmanyekam, Mahatma. A great person, whatever he thinks, he does, he speaks the same. Whatever he speaks, he does the same. So, Trikarana Shuddhi, that is. For Trikarana Shuddhi, we have to study all the 3 texts, not only 1 text. Yoga is not a separate discipline. Even to to think of the worst aspect of the modern world, yoga means to the maximum extent, they go for asanas, and beyond that, if they want to touch, they only touch about the pranayama part, and they never touch the rest of the 8 angas. Yamaniyasana, pranayama, pratyahara, dhyana, dharana, samadhi. These are the ashtangas. Out of this yama and niyama, they never touch at all. They gifted yama and niyama to Jains and Buddhas. And Patanjali's yama and niyama is not necessary for the modern yogic schools. That's why this is. But here, Nidana Sutra of Patanjali, this deals with the metrical classes of Samaveda. Really, a wonderful text gifted by Patanjali, which is never touched by modern people. That Nidana Sutra, just if we go through that Nidana Sutra, just we can have the feeling of horripilation, romancham, we will get. That is Nidana Sutra of Patanjali is another text. It is available and it is with me also. And then Upanidana Sutra of Garga Maharshi. This Upanidana Sutra also is a kind of prosody dealing with Samavedic meters. And after that, Jayadeva Chandas is there. And after that, Vrita Muktavadi is there. Agni Purana. Unfortunately, those who are on the side of our trusting and following our ancient literary texts, Prachina Vangmaya, they give importance for Vedas, they give importance for Smritis, and they give importance for Shastras. But they get fear of Puranas and Itihasas. Some people have faith in Itihasas also, but people run away when we say Puranas. I am very sorry. Puranas are encyclopedic texts over hundreds of sciences, modern sciences, which are parallels to our modern sciences. Such content is available in our ancient Puranas. Madhvayam Bhadvayam Jayo Vratrayam Vachatushtayam Anapalinga Puskani Puranani Purdhavidu. Matsya Puranam, Markandeya Puranam, Bhavishyat Puranam, Bhagavata Puranam, Brahma Puranam, Brahmayavarta Puranam, Brahmanda Puranam, Vamana Puranam, Varaha Puranam, Vayu Puranam, Vishnu Puranam, Agni Puranam, Naradi Puranam, Garuda Puranam, Linga Puranam, Kurma Puranam, Skanda Puranam. These are the 18 Puranas. In all these Puranas, each one is one encyclopedia. Similarly, in Agni Purana, we have references to more than 100 sciences. But we read it as we consider it as a text on stories. It is not story-based Purana. And here, this Agni Purana is having some volumes of discussions about Vedic prosody also. So we need a keen eye to understand this. So classical Sanskrit text on prosody. Vritta Ratnakara of Kedara Bhatta, Chando Manjari of Gangadasa, Chandak Kaustubham, Chando Anusasanam, Shruta Bodha. These are texts dealing with purely kavya meters used in kavyas. For instance, there are, I will give you examples in course of time. So, the Vrittaratnakara of Kedara Bhatta comfortably deal with all the possible meters in the classical text. Similarly, classical text means kavyas. Kavyas are again of 3 types. Gadyam, Padyam, Uphayamayam. Gadyam is prose. Even in prose, as I was studying, there is metrical influence. And after that, Padyam, purely metrical. Nobody will deny. And so, Gadyam, Padyam, Uphayamayam. Uphayamayam means Champu. There will be some lines running in the form of Padya, again some Gadya will follow, and again some metrical lines will follow. That is known as Champu. So all these kinds are dealt with in this Vrittaratnakara, Chando Manjari, Chandak Kaustubham, Chando Anusasanam, Shrutabodha, etc. So, particularly if we can mastery over, if we can master over this Vritaratnakara, that is enough for us. And Chando Manjari is almost equal to Vritaratnakara, but Vritaratnakara is given importance for one reason. That is, the definition of a meter is given in that meter only. For instance, Bhujanga Prayatam Bhavejya Chaturbihi Yagana Chatushtayam. If it is there, that is Bhujanga Prayata. They say. So, Bhujanga Prayatam Bhavejya Chaturbihi Kirite Nisisho Lalate Hutasho Bhujebho Kiraja Kale Kale Macha Mahadeva Tulyam Parandaiva Manyam Najane 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 Najane. So, this Bhujanga Prayata composition. Here we have this rhythmic division of yaganas. So it is given the Vritaratnakara style is, the definition is of a meter is given composed in that particular meter only. So it is preferred. Even if we don't have the examples with us, just if we can get by heart the definitions, yes, we can know the definition of the meter. For instance, Shardola Vikrita is there. Surya Swairma Sajastatasa Guru Vahasharpula Vikriditam. They say, Surya Aswai, divide the feet into two parts as Suryas and Aswas. How many Suryas are there? 12. Aswas, how many are there? 7. So 12 plus 7. So totally 19. This is Shardola Vikridita. Brahmariyanam Trayena Trimuniyatita Sraddhara Kirtideyam. Sraddhara, the division is 777. So 21. So Marabhana, ya. These are the gadis. So like this, that a particular style is, approach is there in Vritaratnakara. That's why people like and love to learn the definitions from Kedara Bhatta. Here, interdisciplinary texts. Natya Shastra, Sangeeta Ratnakara, Surta Tilaka, Adisankara's works, and some special stotras. These are all there. Here, in the Natya Shastra, though it was a text on Natya, particularly, there are 3 groups of writers. One group of people say Natya Shastra is ours. All the dancers in the country, they say Natya Shastra of Bharata is our text. It is. And the those who belong to poetics, Alankara Shastra or Sahitya Shastra, they say Natya Shastra belongs to us because Rasavada was gifted by Bharata. And some others, the musicians, classical musicians of our country say, no, Natya Shastra is our text. Yes. In fact, whose text it is? Is it the text of musicians? Is it the text of literary people? Or is it the text of dancers? If we say, the very title itself says, Natya Shastra is a Shastra meant for people of Natya. When we say, then why Sangeeta Ratnakara and Sangeeta, people of music, musicians, why musicians have a claim? Then why the literary people have a claim over this Natya Shastra? For that, they say that both music and this Sahitya are the parts of Natya only. They say. How Abhinaya is of four types. Angika Abhinaya, Vachika Abhinaya, Aharya Abhinaya, and Satvika Abhinaya. Here, Vachika Abhinaya is the literature. And that literature also presented through music. So this music and literature contextually dealt with by Natya Shastra. In this process, to introduce literature, he introduced Chandas Shastra. In the process of introducing Chandas Shastra, wonderful techniques were used by Bharata, which were never ever touched by the earlier scholars. That is. And similarly, Sharangadeva's Sangeeta Ratna. We have wonderful references to prosody in Sangeeta Ratnakara. Then Suvrata Tilaka. Suvrata Tilaka was a text and literary criticism of ancient times. But here they say they deal with the prosody as a part of Suvrata Tilaka, though it was a text related to poetics, Indian poetics. They deal with these meters. Why? They say that meters have some invariable relation with the mood. Sringara, Hasya, Karuna, Rautra, Veera, Bhayanaka, Bhipatsa, Adbhuta, Shanta. These are the 9 rasas. Out of these 9 rasas, Sringara allows only soft meters, small meters. Daivatam, Tvamasi Vedvitiyam, Hridayam, Pranosi, Kantirasi, Punyafalam, Puranam. Tvandaivatam. Rama was addressing Sita and he says, Tvandaivatam. You are my goddess. Tvamasi Hridayam Vidiyam. You are my second heart. Pranosi. You are my life itself. Kantirasi. In your absence, I have only darkness. And there is no light at all. That's why you are my Kanti. Punya Phalam Puranam. To go into some extent, if we want to say, you are the human manifestation of my earlier Janma's Punya. Here, which word is difficult? Meters of that kind are to be chosen while dealing with similarly in the Veera Rasa or Raudra Rasa. Bhugna Bhru, the Bhikarunda Putunaspod, Chimahar Kalala, Kinakrura Taru, Kadkarchijalambul, Gadavis Pulingagnitwala, Kanduri Nukanan. Of course, I am reading a Patyam from Telugu, but it is in it is metrical, so lengthy meter is to be taken. Similarly, in dance, Sadanchita, Mudanchita, Nipunchita, Padanchala, Chalanchita, Manju, Katakam. So, this kind of rhythm should be there for dancers. Sadan, this is about Sembunatana Vrta. This is here. Sadanchita, Mudanchita, Nipunchita, Padanchala, Chalanchita, Manju, Katakam. Patanjali Durganjana Mananjana Machanchala Padanjana Bhanjana Karam. We stop thinking about the meanings of the words, but our concentration will be on the rhythm. So these are all selecting the meters according to the theme. Vatsalya Rasa is there. There is a dialogue between Krishna and his mother. Mataha. Wonderfully, it is fixed in this meter. Mataha. The little Krishna of 2 years age approached his mother and he was addressing her. Mataha. Mother, mother, he was addressing. Kim Yadunatha. Oh, Yadunatha, though he was a 2 years child, she was addressing him as the king of Yadus. Kim Yadunatha. Oh, Yadunatha, what do you want? Please tell me. Then he said, Mata Kim Yadunatha Dehi Chashakam. Give me a glass, please, he said. A tumbler, he wants. Chintena. Of course, I will give you the tumbler. What do you do? She told. Ask. Patum Payaha. I want to drink milk, ma, he said. He looked at him. It was almost noontime. By the time his belly was full of milk, by the time he drank milk for 10 tumblers or 12 tumblers milk he filled in the summer. Still he wants another tumbler. That's why she wanted to postpone. Tannastyadya. No, tumbler is not there, she told. Kadasti va. If it is not now, when can it be available? Please tell me, mother, he said. She wanted to postpone for a long time. She told, Nisi, when it gets dark, then you can avail, the tumbler is available for you. He wants the definition of Nisha. Nisha kava. What is Nisha? He asked. Andhakarodayaha. When it gets dark everywhere, that itself is Nisha, she told. Then immediately, if he were any other boy, he could have left the place and he could have had his own business elsewhere. But he was Krishna. So what did he do? He closed his eyes. Amilyakshiyugam nisyapyupagata. Mataha, oh mother, please see. Everywhere is dark now because he closed his eyes. Amilyakshiyugam nisyapyupagata dehi maturmuhu vakshojam sukha karshanodyatakaraha vishnassa pushnatvaha. Having closed his eyes, he said, darkness is everywhere, so please give me glass. Pulling the upper garment of his mother, he was requesting mother very frequently to give a tumbler, so that Krishna may protect you all. So this kind of expressions, when there are, the matter should not be a tough one. Suvrta Tilaka makes such recommendations. Similarly, Adi Shankara, Shivananda Lahari, Saundarya Lahari, and many others, stotra. Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja, Modamati, Samprapte Sannite Kale, Nahi Rakshati Dukri Karani. So in such Parpata Panjarika, the name of the meter, rare meter, he detected and he gifted to us. Similarly, special stotras. Cheti Bhavan Nikila Keti Kadam Bhavanavati Shudaki Patali. So this kind of rhythm will be there. So Talavajja can follow it. So all this called interdisciplinary text. Similarly, in the Vedic meters, let us have a brief introduction to Vedic meters again. And here in the Vedic meters, we have broadly, we know about Gayatri, Ushnika, Anushtupa, etc. But in broadly, there are 8 classes of meters. If we want to learn about Vedic meters, we must have the knowledge of these first 8. These are Daivi, Asuri, Prajapatya, Yajushi, Samani, Archi and Brahmi. This reference can be available from Chandas Shastra of Pingalnaka. This is the way to study the Vedic meters. In Daivi, we have the 7 meters: Gayatri, Ushnika, Anushtup, Brihati, Pankti, Trishtup and Jagat. So that is Daivi Gayatri, Daivi Ushnik, Daivi Anushtup, Daivi Brihati, Daivi Pankti, Daivi Trishtup and Daivi Jagat. These are. And Asuri is the second class. Asuri Gayatri, Asuri Vishnik, Asuri Anushtup, Asuri Brihati, Asuri Pankti, Asuri Trishtup and Asuri Jagat. Similarly, Prajapatya. Here also we have only 7 meters: Gayatri, Vishnik, Anushtup, Brihati, Pankti, Trishtup, Jagat. And here Yajushi. This Yajushi is not, because it belongs to Yajush, it is not Yajushi. It is the name of the class only. Similarly, Samni, similarly Archi also, they don't belong exclusively to Rigveda, but it is a class of meters known as Archi meters. Similarly, it is a class of meters known as Samni. In all these Daivi, Asuri, Prajapatya, Yajushi, Samni and Brahmi, we have 7 meters only. But in Arshi, we have 26 meters. The names of 26 meters are Ma, Prama, Pratima, Upama, Samma. These are the 5 Prak Gayatri meters. The meters which are prior to Gayatri. These are 5. Ma, Prama, Upama, Pratima, Samma. And after this, 7 meters are there: Gayatri, Ushnika, Anushtup, Brihati, Pankti, Trishtup, Jagat. These 7 are known as Brihat Shandas. After this, Ati Jagati, Shakvari, Atishakvari, Ashti, Atyashti, Dhriti, Atidhriti. These are 7. These 7 are known as Ati meters. Then Kriti, Prakriti, Akriti, Utkriti, Sankriti, Abhikriti, Vyatkriti. These are the Kriti meters, 7 meters. So 7 Brihat meters, 7 Ati meters, 7 Kriti meters, and 5 pre-Gayatri meters. Totally 26. So Ma, Prama, Pratima, Upama, Samma, Gayatri, Ushni, Anushtu, Brihati, Pakti, Trishtu, Jagati, Atijakati, Shakvari, Atishakvari, Asti, Atyashti, Dhruti, Atidhruti, Prakriti, Akriti, Utkriti, Sankriti, Abhikriti, Vyatkriti. These are the 26 meters of Arshi class. So the rest of them have only 7, whereas in Arshi class we have 64. Here in Daivi, Gayatri has 1 syllable, and Daivi Gayatri means a single syllabic meter. Daivi Ushnik, disyllabic. Daivi Anushtup, trisyllabic. The Daivi Brihati is quadrasyllabic. The Daivi Panti is pentasyllabic, and Daivi Trishtup is sexasyllabic, and Daivi Trishtup Anushtup, that is not Trishtup, Panti Trishtup Jagati. Daivi Jagati is hectasyllabic. Like this we have. Similarly, Asuri 15, 14, and it is in descending order. This is in ascending order. Similarly, in Prajapatya, 8, 12, 16, 4 multiples are there. Here we have Arshi. In Arshi we have the total of Gayatri, Asuri, and Prajapatya makes 1 Arshi. Here one thing is interesting. The Daivi, Asuri, Prajapatya, Yajashi, Samini, and Archi, Brahmi, these are single foot meters only. Whereas in Arshi class only, we have 4 feet meters. So, as I was telling you, Prag Gayatri meters, Ma, Prama, Pratma, Upama, Samma. This is the class of Arshi meters I am telling you. So, here in these are all Arshi, exclusively Arshi meters or 4 feet meters. Whereas the rest of the 7 classes are of mono foot meters only. So, in the Prag Gayatri meters, here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here 1 is in a foot only 1 letter. So in all the 4 feet we have 4 letters. In Prama, in each foot we have two syllables. Here we have 8. Similarly in Pratima, 3 letters are there for each and 12 together. Upama 4, Samma 5. So totally in all the 4 feet we have 20 letters. So similarly, in prime meters, Gayatri, Ushni, Ganushtup, Brihati, Pakti, Trishtup, Jagati. So Gayatri is in each foot we have 6. So in 4 feet Gayatri we have 24. Or if it is 3 feet Gayatri we have 24, only having 8 letters in each. Similarly, in Ati Jagati, Shakvari, Atishakvari, Ashti, Atyashti, Dhriti, Atidhriti. Kriti, Kriti, Prakriti, Akriti, Vikriti, Sankriti, Abhikriti, Utkriti. These are the 26 classes. The wonder is Laukika Chandra's placing on this Arshi class is divided into Samavrittas, Artha Samavrittas, and Vishamavrittas. Samavrittas means in all the 4 feet, equal number of syllables are there. If then they are known as Samavrittas. If 2 are of equal length and the rest of the 2 are of another equal length, then Artha Samavrittas. Then Vishamavrittas, not the 4 feet, if we have different length of syllables, then Vishamavrittas. So like this. The number of Samavrittas in the 26 classes are 13 crore 42 lakh 17,726. So in the first class we have 2 meters, in the second class we have 4 meters. This Yagana, Ragana, Tagana, Nagana, Bhagana, Jagana, Sagana, Magana. Wonderful formation this is. This wonderful formation of Yagana, Ragana was mathematics based. Actually, exclusively to deal with mathematics, the relation of mathematics and prosody, I need 1 hour. And here I am not going to deal with it. And here, this is mathematical calculation only. So here, arithmetic fails, algebra fails, then the geometry fails. The fourth one is Pascal triangle, which was known as the modern times, was called Varnameru Prakriya in our ancient times. Through that we have this, the formation of Yarata Bhajasa Manalaga. So this is. So with the formation of this, we could get in the Samavartas only, we could get 13 crore 42 lakhs 17,726 meters. That is 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1048, like that. Every successive metrical class, we have double number of meters. So altogether in all the 26 meters, if we combine together, we can have 13 crore 42 lakh 17,726 meters. So this is. So as I was mentioning, the Ma Prama Pratima Upama Samma, these are replaced by Ukta, Chikta, Madhya, Pratishta, Supratishta in the classical meters. And from Gayatri to Utkriti, same names. Gayatri, Ganishtu, Brihati, Bhakti, Trishtu, Jagati, Ati, Jagati, Shakvari, Ashakvari, Asti, Artishti, Dhruti, Ati, Dhruti, Kriti, Prakriti, Akriti, Vikriti, Sankriti, Avikriti. These are common with Vedic. But in the Vedic, these are meters, whereas here metrical classes. The first 5 have changed in nomenclature. That is Utta, Chikta, Madhya, Pratishta, and Supratishta. These are the Ganachandasu Jataha. These are the Jatis in the Ganachandas. So, some Vedic exponents of Sanskrit prosody, Vedic seers, Pingalanaga, Saunaka, Katyayana, Patanjali, Garga, Shadguru Shishya, Venkatamadhava, and then Jayadeva, Krishna Bhatta, Kedara Bhatta, Gangadasa, Kalidasa, Shemendra, and Adishankar. Kalidasa's text is Shrutabodha. I mentioned the text, names of the text earlier, and now I am giving reference to the names of the authors. So, if we can keenly study the text of these authors, that is enough to understand, to appreciate, and to create the metrical world. I myself almost wrote more than 2,500 kavyas in Sanskrit with the help of this person. So this is possible for everyone. Almost I wrote more than 32 classical dance rupakas, nritya rupakas, dance ballets with the help of person. So this is possible. This is in brief about the outward structure of the metrical class.
Namaskaram, sir. Very glad to attend the session. I have one doubt on like the end of Ganapati Atharvashirsha, there is Nichrit Gayatri Chanda. So is that saying that it is the Chanda of Ganapati Atharvashirsha? And is it like the Daivi Gayatri, or what is the difference?
Amma, it is a wonderful question. Really, it is a technical question also. Actually, in the Pingalanaga, while dealing with Vedic meters, he gives the reference to Nichrit Gayatri. There are 4 types of Gayatris again, which are deviated from the main stream. They are Virat Gayatri, Swarat Gayatri, Nichrit Gayatri, and Bhurik Gayatri. So when we say Virat, Swarat, and Nichrit and Bhurik, these are the 4 types of Gayatri meters. These are particularly when we are choosing a meter, so that meter is meant for the invocations belonging to a particular deity, God. So all the mantras which are related to invoking the Agni God, Agni Devata, then we use Gayatri meter. So while using, Gayatri has 256 varieties in Vedas. Out of these 256 varieties, Nagi Gayatri, Varahi Gayatri, Yavamadhya Gayatri, Pipiliga Gayatri, Nichurut Gayatri, Bhurik Gayatri, Swarat Gayatri, Virat Gayatri, like this, these are all. You are speaking about Nichurut. Ekena Aksharena Nyunam Nichurut. Dvabhyam Aksharabhyam Nyunam Bhurik. Similarly, Ekadhikyam Virat. Dvabhyam Adhikam Swarat. For instance, 24 syllables should be there in a meter. When if we want to have 24 syllables in a meter, that is Purnagai. But if we have 23 letters only, then it is Nichrut Gayatri. If there are 22 letters only, that Gayatri is Bhurik Gayatri. Similarly, if it has 25 letters, it is Virat Gayatri. If it has 26 letters, it is Swarat Gayatri. So, that kind of compositions are known as Nichrut, Bhurik, Virat and Swarat.
Sir, if someone unknowingly recite a shlok without the chant, so does it affect its earth, especially in the context of Lokik verse, Lokik shloka?
And the last phrase could not be heard by me, please.
If someone recite the shloka without knowing the chant, so does it affect its meaning in the special context of Lokik shloka?
Definitely, it is understood by your experience itself. प्राची भागे सरागे धरणि धरणि क्रांत मुद्रे समुद्रे निद्रालो नीरजालो कृतबुद्धि कोकलो के ससोके like this very side. Can you understand? You cannot understand. Similarly, प्राची भागे सरागे धरणि विरह क्रांत मुद्रे समुद्रे निद्रालो नीरजालो कृतबुद्धि कोकलो के ससोके Akase Ashavakase Pratabasi Sivite Nirvikare Chakore, like this if we recite, then there, because of breaking, the meaning will comfortably convey to the listener. For that sake only Chandas. Yasyatyadyashakun Asman Sadhu Vichintya Sanyamadhanan Uchai Kwalanjatmanah Vayyasya Kathamapyabandhava Kritam Sneha Privattinchatam सामान्य प्रतिपत्ति पूर्वकमियं दारेषु दृश्यात्मया भाग्यायत्तमतः परं न खलु तद्वाच्यं वधू बन्धुभिः. This is a shloka from Abhijnana Shakuntalam. Take the third line. सामान्य प्रतिपत्ति पूर्वकमियं दारेषु दृश्यात्मया सा मान्य प्रतिपत्ति पूर्वकमियं दारेषु दृश्यात्मया सा मा अन्य प्रतिपत्ति पूर्वकमियं दारेषु दृश्यात्मया. This kind of breaking is possible when it is recited in a particular style only. If that style is not followed, it will disturb the meaning.